Hi, I'm Lynae Warren. I'm going to talk with you today about learning theories and how they pertain to teaching mathematics. We know from the research and from being teachers that people learn by doing. They don't learn by sitting and passively watching as effectively as they do if they're engaged with learning. And what that means in the math class is that students need to be actively involved in what they're studying. They need to create models, they need to draw pictures, they need to talk about how they would apply what they're learning. And when they have the opportunity to couple that doing with talking about what they're doing, then there's a greater likelihood that what they're learning and thinking about will be part of who they are. So they're not just taking a moment and thinking about it and it skates away, but they're actually engaged in building knowledge about what it is they're learning. Many times we think that people learn by listening to what other people are saying, but we also know from the work of Wells and others that when we're talking, we're learning. So learning isn't hearing necessarily. Learning is walking our own path verbally through a concept. And in the process of talking about a concept, we're developing knowledge related to it. In addition, sometimes when people talk about what they're confused about, that's an opportunity for learning. Not only for a teacher to hear what someone doesn't understand, but for someone to say, well, I don't understand this. This is as far as I got with my understanding. And then I hit a roadblock. And as they talk about how far they got and the roadblock they encountered, that's an opportunity for them to take their learning further. It's also a metacognitive moment where they're thinking about their thinking, which is really helpful to kids and adults. You sometimes hear teachers talk about active listening. I can tell my students are learning because they're practicing active listening. And I have concerns about that because I can sit and pretend to be really fascinated about things that I really don't care about. And so it's not sufficient to say, I can tell students are learning because they're practicing active listening. That's not sufficient for us to say, oh yes, good learning is taking place. It may be a cue that someone is listening closely, but it doesn't always mean that because they're practicing active listening that learning is taking place. So that's a bit of a cautionary note.